Hi everyone, welcome to the latest video. So we'll be enjoying some more of the lovely Catalan countryside and more architectural delights, one of which you can see behind me there. So that will be on the route. So where exactly are we going? Well, let's have a look. We're going around the comarca of Alt Camp, starting in Comaruga here, which is about 60 kilometers down the coast from Barcelona. And we'll be covering some ground that we covered in previous videos, going down through Torredembarra and also through El Catia, which I covered in my recent Tarragona video, and then looping around here, going through these villages, which just have a plethora of really interesting old churches and a few modernist buildings there, and some beautiful countryside, of course. So we'll be exploring a lot of that. And then looping about round here, going again past the Santuari de la Mare de Déu de Montserrat, which we saw in my Catalan Carver Country video. And we'll be seeing a couple of buildings today by the same architect, Josep Maria Jujol, who was a collaborator of Antoni Gaudí and worked with him on the Sagrada Familia, amongst other of his buildings in Barcelona. And then flying back down south, descent here, picked up a tailwind, which is lovely, and then back to Comaruga. So lots to see, lovely route. Came in about 90 kilometers with about 1100 meters of climbing. So not a walk in the park, but if you're fit, should be fine. A little bit strenuous though, so keep that in mind. And the day I went out was rather windy, as it can be in these parts. But I picked up a tailwind on that last section and absolutely flew down there. So that was lots of fun. So we'll see a little bit of that. So without further ado, let's come to the video. Hi ho, it's off to ride we go with my lycra on and an egg sandwich. Hi ho, are we excited? I'm excited. So here we go, nipping under the N340, the old Roman Via Augusta here, and I actually nailed this. I normally take a wrong turn round here, but I got it right today, I'm happy to say. And our first point of interest here in Clara, which is just outside Torredembarra, and is actually, the origins of Torredembarra are here, and we've got a church here, the Iglesia de San Juan Baptista, and also castle, Castel de la Quadra de la Clara. So there's the church, which has its origins back in 13th century, and the castle here, which is dates from about the 16th century. So yeah, nice little spot to check out here. Again, I didn't get it into my video where we went down into Torredembarra previously, but yeah, worth a stop, definitely. In fact, what you find is places that are described as castles are quite often really more like stately mansions, so the term castle can be a little bit misleading if you're wondering. So just rolling through Torredembarra, again we explore this a bit more extensively in a previous video, but here we have some of the sites here. And here's a bit of the old medieval wall. So we have to take a bit of the main road here, heading north, and it was a Friday, so pretty busy this road, on the weekend as well, but particularly. And we have to take a couple of these roundabouts, so take care. They can be a bit hectic, and what you find, always be careful, look to your right at that point, because there are some drivers here who seem to think that they can keep on going when they see a cyclist coming round the roundabout, so you kind of have to stare them out sometimes. Of course, safety first, because you're not going to come off better in a tangle with a car, really, but it does pay to be assertive, I find. few extra trucks on the road because part of the line's cut, railway line, and they had to pick up some of the freight by truck, but hopefully that'll be open again soon. So we're coming into Ardenya. Going to take a left here, but take care because you don't have a great line of sight there with cars coming towards you, so keep your eyes peeled. And we've got a couple of churches here. We've got the more modern Iglesia de San Jordi, which is a Baroque church dating from the 18th century, and the older Iglesia Vella de Ardenya, which dates from the 12th century. But this is a really lovely spot. Some really lovely buildings here. So there's San Jordi as we loop around, but yeah, I always just repeat that it really lights up in the sun. Okay, you got some water here as well, but yeah, just the colours here, there's sort of orange and pink, and when the sun shines on these buildings, they just really glow, and it's a real treat. And there's the old 12th century church in front of us, and have a little bit of a nose around down here. Yeah, always consider that people do live here. I always feel like I'm being a little bit nosy, but I do like to have a little explore. And on we go. So we're going to go through El Catia. Again, we explore this in my Tarragona video, and there is a really interesting castle here and a lovely church, but just going to roll straight through today. And you can see by the flags there, it was a pretty windy day. We're picking up crosswinds, headwinds at this section, but not to the extent where it would keep me indoors. So our next stop here is Els Pallaresos, and there's some really interesting buildings here. A bit of a modernist touch, definitely, and we can see a few of those as we roll through, so very picturesque. And we're heading down to the Casa Bofarul, which is one of those stately mansions I mentioned before that was modernised, I suppose you could say, or certainly updated and built on by Josep Maria Jujol, who I mentioned in the introduction. And we're coming up to that now. So the original house here dates from the 17th century, but he really went to town on it. And it was around about 1914 he sort of turned it into this kind of modernist masterpiece, which we're about to see. I mean, he was a collaborator with Antoni Gaudí, as I mentioned in the intro. And I just think the architects from that time, himself and Gaudí and others, were real visionaries, and they really left their mark on Catalonia with this absolutely beautiful sort of neo-Gothic architecture. So a real treat, and you can go and have a look round as well. If you're on your bike, though, you need to take a lock. And this is part of it here as well. I sort of tried to have a little peep over, and yeah, definitely worth a stop, this town. So highly recommended. And we have a church there as well, another Baroque church from the 18th century, which is the Iglesia de San Salvador. And on we go again. It was a beautiful day other than the wind, and next stop is Perafort, and we've got a really nice church here coming up, the Iglesia de San Pere, which dates from about 1731, so in sort of neo-classical style, and we get a good look at that now. And this is a really nice spot to take a break as well and have an egg sandwich, although other sandwiches of course are available. Lovely colourful buildings here as well. These towns are just really lovely to have a little roll around and a break, if you like. There's a nice restaurant down here, the Car Vidal, which do breakfast as well. It's open 9 to 5. Looks like I've never eaten here myself, but it looks like it would be a lovely place to stop for that. And also there are some 5th century tombs in the village, which I managed to completely miss, but they are there, so look out for those if you do pass that way. And a fine country house here we're just passing by. And coming into Vista Bella, we're going to have a look at the Iglesia de Sagracco, which is another one of Josep Maria Jujol's buildings. So it does look quite a lot like the Mare de Déu de Montserrat, which I mentioned in the introduction, in very much the same style, and again really beautiful sort of neo-Gothic style. And I came across this completely by accident when I was on a previous ride, because it really stands out on the horizon. But another treat there. And dates from 1923. That was a real sort of fantastic time for architecture here. So the almond trees are in bloom, but it's not spring yet, not for a month. They do blossom in February, and makes a very beautiful sight. So a little climb up here, up to the village of La Sequita, which I think it was worth a little roll around. A little bit of an effort to get up there though, but check it out if you like. There's a church here in that familiar style. And more of that almond tree blossom. And our next stop is Larga Larga, which if you're my age and British, you will probably remember a particular song from the Trainspotting soundtrack. Larga, 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 shouting. That one. So another one of these medieval villages, dates to about the mid-12th century, and here we have the Plaza Mayor. And yes, some nice buildings here, including the church, which has quite an interesting epithet on the front of it. Apparently it is the doors to heaven, the house of God and the gates of heaven. So there you go. Heaven, I'm in heaven, is what I often sing when I'm riding around here, because it's just lovely. And we've got these interesting modernist buildings here as well. And that blossom again, it's a real feature at this time of year. Isn't really a bad time of year to go cycling here, except in the summers it can get oppressively hot, but other than that it's just spot on. So next we have the village of Renau, and again this dates back to medieval times, about the 12th century, and we have the Iglesia Santa Lucia, and there's the remains of an old feudal castle that was demolished in the 19th century, although once again castle does translate a bit more as stately mansion. Definitely worth a look. So puffing and panting my way up here. I mean, no long climbs today, but it is a little bit accumulative, you might say. Phew, hard work. Luckily for me, I'm a bit of a cycling masochist. This is Villa Bea. I got a little bit lost around here and didn't manage to find anything super interesting. There was a tower. I couldn't seem to sort of get right up to it. But again, nice little town to explore. So the town hall coming up there on the right. And yeah, there is that sort of, looks like a kind of church tower behind. But I sort of went round and round and seems to be a little bit in an enclosure. So the towns and villages here really do seem to almost kind of grow up out of that rock, that sort of orangey pink colour that you see everywhere. It's really special. Including this church. Didn't do my research on this one, but it is a church. There it is, and there it goes. So we've got one more port of call as we roll down this lovely country lane through the usual vineyards, olive groves, all of that kind of thing. And I do love a good dry stone wall. And there's a grape press, or grape squeezer, if that's a technical term for it, and the Padró winery here. As you come through, you can really smell the fermenting grapes. And we are in the town of Brafim. Another 18th century Baroque church, the Iglesia de San Jaume, slightly migraine inducing, but not bad looking. And just outside of town we have the Ermita de la Mare de Deo de Lloret. You can tell I've been practicing these names. That was take one on that one though. So there was an original church here that was demolished, and this building dates from the late 19th century, which is kind of neo-Romanesque. So let's have a little run up the steps here, bit of cyclocross. So Again, there was a certain amount of destruction here during the Civil War, and some of the paintings inside were destroyed. But yeah, this is again a lovely building here, and a really nice spot as we have a little roll around here. So as I understand it, there was a painting or an image inside the Church of the Virgin Mary, which is one of those works of art that was destroyed, but it was subsequently repainted. So not sure what the opening hours of the church are, but you could probably come up at the right time and have a look around. So Mare de Deo does mean Mother of God, so hence the Virgin Mary connection there. And then you can come around the back and roll back down, and we get another sight of it here on the right. And here's the cemetery to whence we're all ultimately bound, so let's enjoy some great cycling while we can. And there's the Santuario de Montserrat, which, as I mentioned before, we had a look at in my Catalan Carver Country video. I found out subsequently that it is actually designed to resemble the mountain of Montserrat, which is another famous spot in Catalonia, so another interesting point there. And a bit more of that almond tree blossom as we head back towards the coast, flying down here with a tailwind. Starting to pick up speed, and just final section here down these country lanes and back into Comarca. So San Vicente de Calders station is there on the left. So once again, thanks for your company and see you at the next one.